For tuning in. My name is Erik Leung. I'm the co-founder and COO of Simplifai. It's a company that builds automation solutions using artificial intelligence. So today I'll be talking a little bit about, in terms of the workforce, how can we build a sustainable organization? Now, of course, it sounds very, very natural that we would just keep it the way it is. As long as it's working, then there is no need to make any adjustments to it. But it isn't so. I mean, in terms of the banking world, we're always driven by the demand of the end customers. So the end customers, there's always a constant need and demand for faster responses, high availability of the service, and of course, more relevant responses. And this demand, it's not originating from necessarily the experience from the financial sector, the bank and finance. It could have been that they have gotten a service somewhere like Uber, and they realized that, oh, it is so convenient, I could use an app and then I don't have to contact anyone, and then the service is already available for me, probably before I even knew it. And that one unique experience all of a sudden becomes the standard benchmark that they're starting to have towards all of the industries. So every single industries subconsciously, implicitly have to play the catch-up game to every other industries that are slowly providing more digitalized, smooth, highly available and quick service. So for a bank or an insurance company, for them to just keep the status quo, that just doesn't become enough. And when we're talking about the sustainable organization, the definition has also taken a sort of a change this year. I mean, the fact that we're all in our respective office doing this conference through the nets, it's also a sign that the world has become different than how we're being used to. The customer center, the front office of the bank and insurance company might suddenly realize that you can only staff half of the positions because half of them are either being forced to be at home and quarantine, or that they are simply not available because they have become ill. So how can we build an organization that is sustainable, not just for today, but also for tomorrow? I mean, we're all aware that COVID-19 will be over soon, but there might be something else that comes in the year after. There might be some other type of situation that causes us to have to rely on other source of productivity than from our own employees. So Simplifai comes in that niche where we will be focusing on how we can scale productivities beyond what employees are able to do. And of course, using artificial intelligence, understanding the essence of how to apply the technology into a day-to-day operations. And in addition, how we can package it up to make it available quickly and economically to all bank and insurance companies around the globe. It has given us a very nice market positioning. So in terms of understanding the incoming inquiries, whether it is from email, from documents, or any other channels, as long as it's been written in text, Simplifai has a tool standardized that can be deployed into any organization where the customer service organization can use to train using the knowledge of their employees, and having an artificial intelligence agent to work side by side with anyone in the front office. So through this of an approach, we have gotten a lot of tractions internationally. First off with Microsoft, who are taking us out to all the regions that they have business with, and then some of the other partners in the local regions where we have gaining tractions in terms of establishing a customer base. Last but not least, we have also enjoyed a nice customer base growth in our home markets. And if you were to go to Microsoft Azure Marketplace, you will find that our solution is listed as a preferred solution. It's one is based on the ease of use. Two is also because of a very scalable architecture that allows this product to be used by many in a very short time. So combining the technology and understanding how we apply that in the bank and finance industry, this is the pledge. This is our pledge that for any bank and insurance company, we can automate up to 90% of your repetitive work. And from a front office perspective, that might be answering incoming inquiries, that might be dispatch forwarding the inquiries to the right team, department, and it might be archiving of the incoming inquiries into the right place, or it can also be registering the incoming inquiry into your back office systems, whether it is to file claim for insurance, or it might be to generate the quote for insurance, generating the registration needed, doing the background checks for any loan applications, or simply answering any questions with regards to investment products or insurance policies, etc. And we can do that. Unlike most of the consulting houses, data scientists that can tell you we can do anything, just give me a lot of data. We need a minimal set of data that is needed, and we would spend 1 month to train it, and we will be able to produce the result that we have said. And because of that small investment that you would need to get started, and the amount of gain that you potentially can have based on the success of the project, the return on investment is very short. Most of our projects is within 3 to 4 months on the ROI payback. None of our projects currently have more than 6 months of ROI payback. So it sounds like magic, right? But how do we do it? Well, we have a standardized solution concept called digital employee. We're not calling it virtual assistant. We're not calling it digital assistant. We're not calling it banking or insurance assistant, because we believe that our product can work side by side on equal term as any of your front office employees. So if we were looking at inside an employee, there's usually 3 things that go through their mind. Number 1, any employee receives a massive amount of inquiries every day, whether it is from customers, from colleagues, or from vendors. They will be reading them one by one and make their decision based on their knowledge of what they need to do to satisfy these inquiries. And then once they have decided on what needs to be done, they will go ahead and perform, whether it is to opening up a back office system and register the info, or they will look up some information and reply in terms of email, or simply forwarding to their boss or leaders respectively. So what we have done is we have standardized these 3 aspects of an employee day-to-day task into standardized components. Now, we understand that in terms of banking, and also especially on the consumer banking and consumer insurance, we have a lot of chat inquiries, which we also have a chatbot to handle that. But we also at the same time understand that there is a massive amount of inquiry that comes in that does not come in through chat, but it needs to be in a traditional email with attachment format, because it needs to be kept a record and it's much more official. And especially in the corporate banking and corporate insurance policies, most of the inquiries exchanges are through email and documents. So we have built an email bot to handle incoming inquiries, whether it is from your Outlook or from your CRM ticketing system. It will read the inquiry and process it automatically. And then we have a document bot doing the exact same thing for the documents, whether they're computer generated or scanned as a picture or PDF. And then we have a rules engine that standardizes any configuration of business rules. If it is this kind of insurance above this claim amount, it goes to team A. Something else goes to team B, C, etc. Or loan amount that exceeds a certain amount needs a different team of approvals, etc. And then we have a no-coding integration interface that allows this email and document bot to integrate with any of the backend systems to flow the information directly through APIs, or in some cases, RPA robots. This is how we envision the digital employee works on a day-to-day basis. The digital employee will be receiving inquiries from customers through the different channels, and they will just be opening it up, reading it one by one to decide what needs to be done with them. And then it will be go ahead and flow the necessary information into the back office systems, whether it is to register information or to fetch the answers of the inquiry. It's well integrated with the back office systems, the same way any employees would have. It would have its own username and password, have its own allowed access in order to do the necessary job like any of its colleagues would do. I mentioned earlier that it was a 90% automation of repetitive work. What happens to the last 10%? Well, this is the key. The digital employee, the language engine would understand what it does know. At the same time, it will also understand what it doesn't know. When the digital employee is not sure about the incoming inquiry, which is the last 10% of the time, whether it is too complex or it is really of a nature that it has never seen before, then it will go ahead and forward that inquiry to one of its colleagues. And the colleagues will be handling them as they were before the digital employee came along. The workday will be the same, the work process stays the same. They'll still be answering phones, but they would realize that there will be less inquiries coming to the customer service representative team so that they will have more time on handling the complex cases, and they would also have time to doing outbound calls, sales calls, or any other value-added tasks instead. So it becomes a win-win-win situation. Employees get to do more variation of the task. For the business, it becomes more value-added for a customer service team, which usually be a cost center, but can then in turn become a sales-generating organization. And for the customers, they get their replies much more quicker and with a much higher availability. They could have filed a claim 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and the reply comes back within 5 minutes, says it has been registered, it has been assigned to one of the lawyers to work on it, and you'll hear back from us. So if we break it down into the process, what we basically are saying that we have a bot that are trained to understand your inquiry, and whether it is about banking related inquiries, or it is insurance related inquiries, or if it is investment banking, advisory, etc., it will go ahead and understand to an extent that it would be able to answer the question if it is within the task, or it can go ahead and forward dispatch to the relevant personnel who would take that much further, or it will do the necessary registration and information gathering and present it in a much more standard format, so that for any of the case handler or advisors, it can be much more standard structured and overviewed, which it will allow them to get started right away. It would be also much easier for them when you have these inquiries sorted, arranged in a manner that you will be dealing with one topic at a time to minimize the context switch, which also in turns will improve on the quality. Then you will go ahead and reply to the clients, whether it is the quotes, whether it is to look for the status of their ongoing claim case, or what happened to my loan application, etc. So when we were talking about training a bot to understand the language, I wasn't talking about Outlook filter or Gmail filter settings. Those are usually rule-based, allows you to mark it. You will build the rules. If you have this keyword together with that keyword, then that means that, and you need to archive or move it to the folder, etc. That's for engineers. You have also a lot of ongoing data science projects where you will feed a bunch of inquiries to a team of data scientists, and they will build models after models, tuning them in order to make some sense out of it, which is fine. Eventually they will get there. But then the problem becomes, what happens afterward? Saying the organization going through some changes, you have more other types of inquiries. I'm sorry, I have to rebuild the whole model again. And can you give me some historical data? I'm sorry, we don't, because this is new. So what we do is we're going away from all of that. Simplify Studio is the tool that you use to train the bot to understand your incoming email and document inquiries. And this is a tool not made for data scientists. This is not a tool made for IT personnel. This is a tool that is built for customer service leaders. This is a tool that is built for the customer service representatives. They are the one who would understand when you're looking at the email, what is important and what can be ignored. What are the key information that you need to mark it, because they would have implications on what you do thereafter in terms of processing. If I'm looking at an application for insurance claim, or loan application for banks, then they will immediately know for the insurance claim, I need to understand what is the policy number, what exactly is the accident that happened that requires the claim, maybe the claim amount, and probably the insurance company of the other party. If it is a loan application, I need to know probably my only personal information, as well as what kind of loan it is about, maybe even the loan amount, maybe if there's a case number, etc. These informations are what's important from the mail perspective, as well as some other types of, by the way, do you also know, which then becomes another question that the bot will also be able to read out. This is not keyword. There is so many different ways to explain something in plain English language that there is no way you can build an email bot to read emails based on keywords. You might be able to do that with chatbot because it's so much shorter in terms of the language. But in an email, which could easily be multi-pages, it needs something more intuitive and needs something smarter. And this is what you have from Simplifai Studio. So once you have trained the bot to understand that, the next thing you will need to do is to configure the source, which might be CRM, ticketing system, Exchange server, and then you will connect to back office systems such as your claim, your insurance policy system, your banking loan systems, or any other CRM, ERP systems that you might have in the back office. So this is how Simplifai Studio can help you to train the bot to understand and configure it up according to your own process to build the digital employee that works for you. So last, I would like to talk a little bit about there's customer reference that we have had. ClaimsLink is an organization that is part of Söderberg & Partners, which is one of the largest insurance companies in the Nordics and North Europe. They wanted some automations in their customer service in terms of answering some of the basics questions, archiving the incoming and outgoing dialogues, as well as registering incoming claims. So what we have done is that we have trained the language engine for them in a month, and then we have configured the integrations that is needed, and then we have practically built the digital employee for them. Since we have delivered Sudda, which is the name of the digital employee, last April, it has been running ever since, and it has been running to a point that all of the incoming inquiries through email are read by Sudda before it reaches anyone, if it reaches anyone. 80% of the incoming inquiries never got touched by anybody. It got registered, it got answered, it got archived without ever any human interventions. They have doubled their market positioning since Sudda came into production, and they had 6 employees doing sort of a registration of the work. They have doubled the incoming inquiries, and they have managed to handle the extra traffic without ever having to hire anybody else. And in fact, one of the employees who used to work on this one, she left ClaimsLink and started to work with us. So they have 1 less employees on that team. And in addition, another person who have been training of the bot, instead of having a boring job of answering emails and registering claims, he's now managing the initiative of digitalization, among which managing this digital employee. So you go from twice the amount of the traffic, more tasks than what the customer service was supposed to do, and instead they're handling it with a smaller team than they started out with. And this is the story, and this is kind of how the impact we're looking to have in terms of the bank and insurance companies in India as well, where this would not be affected by Corona. This would not be affected by any sort of a sudden peak of traffic or drop in the dip of the traffic, and you would still have your digital employee working every day 24/7 for you. So if this is interesting to any of you, feel free to drop by our virtual booth on Expo Hall 1 or send us an email to have a demo and a POC with us, and we will be able to impress you with what we are able to do in a very short time.